my goodness.
That's the sound of Jake's frustration. Can we hear it again? Welcome, everyone. I knew I'd get a laugh out of him somehow.
It's tough out here, folks.
Okay, we got Jake there. We've got Bess is back. Thank you, Bess. Welcome back. Look at Joey gets to head out the door. Tragedy. We got Matt coming too. Matt's heading out the door. Thank you, everyone.
Are you using 2 mics, Mom?
No, I turned this one off.
Nice. Perfectly good. How about that?
How about that? Jake, what will you tell us about this piece of equipment you're on?
Oh, yes. The old-fashioned high-low. What a situation we've just had, folks.
Tell them where we are and why.
We're at the Glass Academy. This is show number 220. Is it 1 or 2?
1.
This is 221, and we've had a circumstantial situation of treachery around here. But, I mean, first of all, I couldn't even figure out how to get this on my ear. But these are our brand new microphones.
Why do you have? I have 2 ear pieces.
I tried 2 different styles, but let us know how the audio sounds. Bess will be looking at the comments. The boys are on their way home here. Chris is out fiending in the back trying to figure out the blower. Basically, folks, as many of you know, and actually Carrie reached out to us and said, is everyone okay? Because Michigan did have a pretty hardcore tornado situation this past Monday or Sunday. And everything was fine here. The furnaces were off. We reset them. And then now, literally 45 minutes before the show, right when we needed the hole to be getting hot, the blower, which we have a blower outside that powers both this glory hole here, the one back there, the 2 furnaces that need to be on all the time, and our large glory hole to the left of that other furnace, which we were going to use for tonight's show to do a big, crazy show, is not working. And so right now, actually, every second that goes by, the furnaces are getting lower and lower in temperature, and it's not really good for the crucible. If it drops below 1,000, there's a big chance that it'll solidify, it'll crack the crucible, and then we got to redo the whole furnace. This happens from time to time. DTE is not that reliable, but they are pretty good. So we're just finagling it. I've done everything I know how to do with the furnaces, switching them on and off and trying to reset it. And now Chris is back there working on the electrical, trying to figure out if he can get it reset. And we got this here because all the fuse boxes are up above us on the ceiling. So we've already been painting the ceiling. We've done a lot of really nice work here in the studio. So we already have the high-low out and ready to go.
Those are the fuse boxes.
Don't be hitting the focus button now.
I did hit the focus button.
But don't do it because that sets it into non-auto focus.
All right.
Now we're bumming,
trying to
folks.
zoom in on it. There they are.
Woohoo! What's going on over there? Anyway, though, amidst all that craziness, there's a lot of things. I mean, we sit down at 5 o'clock and have a whole group dinner with the whole team and get on the same page and get ready for the show and excited to kick it with you guys. And that didn't happen, and we were all scatterbrained and pretty hectic about what was going on. So what Michelle and I would like to do is we're going to sit down. We had a really big show planned because it was the debut of our crowdfunding project for the Glass Academy Lounge coming up here in the future. So we're going to sit down. We want to give you some details and give you a little conversation. It's still in the midst. The balls are moving fast, but we can give you guys a little update on what's going on.
All right, here's what I'd say. I would say we rarely see the high-low here, so I think that's kind of fun in and all of itself because it's never in the middle. The guys, Matt and Joey, just stepped out for a minute. When they came back, everything was tore up. They did a great job setting up the show. Thank goodness we didn't sell tickets to the big show because my theory is things happen for a reason. So we have some fine art on the table tonight, so that's kind of cool. Jake can go in detail and talk about the work that he's doing. This is never fun for a glass shop. These are the things behind the scenes that you guys never see. Like that pit in your stomach, like if there's a police officer that comes to your house and says there's been an accident, something like that, that is the feeling that we have right now. It's just awful because you don't know how long it's going to take for the furnaces to heat up. Hour or two, totally fine if we get everything going again. If they don't, then we're in a conundrum because they will cool too fast. It throws everything off and it's a complete mess. So just send us positive vibes. It's not the end of the world. No one's hurt. No one's in danger or anything like that. We're totally cool. But it's just kind of a pain. You're just like, oh my my God. You feel this stress and tension of just like time. We got to get this going. The furnaces are cool. We do have lots to talk about. So like maybe in the giant scheme of things, this is what needed to happen so we could slowly talk through all of the stuff that's going on. Not only have we been polishing the floors and painting the ceilings, we've been doing, Jake doesn't know what he's doing over there. We've been doing lots of stuff in the studio. Now, Bess had the week off. This is the first time I've seen her since then. We've got a big social media campaign coming on that's super cool, and so Bess and I are working on that. She's going to be in charge of VIPs. She's doing some great things with them. We got some private videos, so if you're not a VIP, maybe now is the time because you're going to see some behind-the-scenes stuff. We're going to talk about the floor and the polishing. We're going to talk about the table, which is more fine art. So where would you like to begin?
On the bright side, somebody said it's the best audio they've ever heard.
The best
Shut
audio
up!
they've ever heard.
Yes.
Wow.
And then, like, because of all of this happening, I don't have my computer out, so I can't see your comments right now. So Bess will keep us in the loop with that. The question tonight is, hold on. How do you define fine art? I did this great blog on my way in that will get posted by Thursday's e-news, and I'm going to talk about a guy in our neighborhood who's a professor at U of M and how he's selling his artwork. Is it fine art? Is it craft? Is it a guy tinkering in his garage? Stay tuned to find out. But you send your answer to enews@glassacademy.com. Set this over here on the high-low. We'll probably walk away in a few minutes. And let's see, what else do we have? I look so serious. I never feel as serious as I look. Okay, audio is super. People are watching. Yes, we are going to do Wheel of Names. Sue says, oh no. I don't know. This is like super housekeeping day for me.
Yeah, let's start at the table over here
Okay.
and talk about, and you can say hi to Chris here, who's working on the furnace.
See how hard he's
audio they've
working?
ever had.
It's the best audio we ever had, you guys. It's
Yeah.
amazing.
Incredible.
I don't have a mic on right now, but I'm sure it's working totally fine through Jake's. I'm working on the blower outside, and it's kind of a pain in the butt because it keeps on blowing the breaker on it, and it's drawing too many amps. So I'm trying to figure it out and hopefully get it lit up and going so we can get the furnaces relit. And then we can deal with replacing the blower on the motor at some point.
Yeah.
But we do have an amazing lineup of tastiness, which
Incredible.
I think we should probably just have this be the next show too.
It's got to be, except the issue is, folks, this feels really weird dangling on my ear. Very strange.
Well, I think because we have glasses on too,
Yeah.
it feels like it's a bunch of stuff, and this little cord looks like a snake is
It's flesh
climbing.
colored.
Well, so the issue is, and it's not really a big issue, but this next Tuesday we pre-recorded a 4th of July show because
Because we did, but
because it's the 4th of July and we're not in the studio. It's 4th of July. We're in the evening having our firework fiasco situation. So we made an awesome show for you a couple days ago. It's super cool, and you guys will love it, and you won't want to miss it. I can promise you that. This is a little sneak peek into what was made onto the show. Look at the texture, and take a guess, folks, in the chat, what you think that might be. Clearly, this one didn't make it. Maybe you could say, what is that and what happened to it? Pretty cool. So that'll go into the cullet bucket over there. Almost got it. But this is the display for tonight's show. We were going to do the big show, and we wanted to have our higher-end product. This is all from Chris Nordine Studios Gallery in Ann Arbor, which we've talked about before, and Chris has opened it up. And you want to grab a microphone and turn it on and just talk
Yeah,
about it?
It's just all wrapped around here, but
All right.
Maybe they'll hear me. Yeah, guys. We got our flesh-colored special right here. It's looking pretty good. It looks like something you want to stick up your nose. But it's brand new, and supposedly it's working really well. Chris Nordine Studios Gallery. If you look at my website, Chris Nordine Studios, there's a gallery section on that, and you can look at some works that are in there. And also we have Chris Nordine Studios Gallery /gallery on Instagram and Facebook as well too. But it shows we've got an amazing Wasintha Young, who's an amazing mosaic artist. She's a invited visiting artist right now. She's got like 15 pieces in the gallery, along with my work and some of Jake's work and some other people's work. So check it out. This was some select pieces that we picked from the gallery to show you guys and put up here to have an opportunity. Some of these beautiful Venetian pieces that I love working on, as well as some candlesticks, and then Jake's bonsai pieces, which are really unbelievable. And I did a nice job photographing them. They're all online, aren't they?
Yep. They'll be live at 6:30, I believe.
Yeah, 6:30, guys. And there's the giveaway.
That's the giveaway that we're going to be giving away here on this shortened show. So we'll be spinning the wheel of names in a moment here, but we'll give you some up close on. We're not going to hand hold all these pieces because they're so intense and hardcore, but the prices are online. You guys know the deal. This goes hand in hand with the crowdfunding situation that we've got going on, which we're still going to explain to you guys, this new page we've started, and the July 9th customer appreciation event. It's going to be super tight and a really, really good time.
Yeah, and did they take a peek at the camera? Did she shoot it through there and show the floor?
No, that was going to be next in the line. Let's
Oh.
take it over here. Take a look at what we were
You
working
go ahead
on.
and put your mic on, Jake. I'll let you do business.
All right. Let's see if I can get it on. Is that upside down? I don't know.
You gotta tuck your glasses over it to make it stay.
Reminds me of the old mask days.
Yeah.
All right.
Cool. Yeah, so we're working on the floor in here, folks, and take a look. We've shown you the ceiling has been painted, the beautiful blue. This spot over here, we're now starting on with the beige, and we're going to go back and we scraped everything. We're going to completely clean all that up. These are things that kind of we knew were coming down the pipeline, but we didn't really expect that had to be done for the bar. This is all just prep work. And Chris is still talking with the architect. Everything's completely designed, but we're getting the final confirmations from the architect to send out and get each of the builders, the plumber, the electrician in here to start the groundwork on what's going on. But we spent a weekend, not last weekend, a couple weekends ago, grinding this whole thing, scooping out cement. Look at how cool this looks, the cement that fell down in here. That's the Desert Special. And then Joey today was working on polishing, so we still got a little more to do. We spray down this material, and then you bring the polisher over here across, and it's a pretty nice scenario. This thing's pretty hardcore.
This is, ladies and gentlemen, like getting your husband to vacuum the house. Just give him the power tool and be like, honey, can you polish the floor for me?
Just to see the difference, this is not polished and this is polished.
Yeah, exactly. We didn't have time in all the hecticness to pull out a chair. We got these beautiful chairs done. Watch the polished floor.
They've got rubber grommets. I brought this over so you could talk about it. I'll go grab a chair. First off, I want to say, hey, John Milberg, thank you very much for that lovely suggestion. But actually, the reality is it's a giant motor. It's like a doghouse. It's like 2 doghouses put together, that blower. It's ginormous. It's outside. It's super loud. I'll go get a chair. Here's your props.
Cool. Yeah, you guys know the Breath of Michigan. This is going to be our 12-foot sculpture up in the window right there. It'll be transparent with recycled bubbles blown by the community. And that's going to be a ode to the world record that we broke and the lakes of Michigan and the community aspect of everything we do. And really, we can't stop saying it. We say it all the time. The idea behind this bar, the Glass Academy Lounge, is going to be the fact that people will come in here more than the community we already have watching the show, taking classes, getting educated, learning about glass, and appreciating artwork and just good energy in general. People will be able to come in here for twice as long. People can sit down, they can sit and relax on a couch, they can sit on a brand new painted super heavy chair, and they can enjoy their time and be a part of the community.
Of course, the one I grabbed doesn't have the thing. All right. So we had to rearrange the whole studio to get this area clean, and we made these chairs.
I think this is the one with too big of a chair, the mystery one that was supposed to be on the tall, high-top chair.
All right, so if you know us, you know one of the missions of the studio is to reclaim, repurpose things that might go into a landfill and make them rockin' for the future. Here we have, would you like to sit in this chair, sir?
I could sit in it.
We have this lovely chair. Oh, how's
That's
it
the
feel?
first sit, honestly, in it, and I love the ease. I always like having my arms back a little bit. It's pretty darn cozy.
We took 5 different colors of blue and painted the chairs. They were black.
How many chairs do we have? Look at all that action.
78 was the total.
78 chairs. So this was a team effort of spray painting, cleaning, taking these off, spray painting them. Sharon Watch came in and
I was just
volunteered
gonna
her
say,
incredible time.
What you don't know, and you'll see at our fundraising event, is we took denim pants. Large men, thank you for your used denim clothing.
Yeah.
Cut them up. Sharon was essential in pulling them together, and she put them, this was a curtain.
Yeah, that's a plain one. Some of them have buttons going down
Yeah.
the sides, seams, and pant pockets on them and whatnot. Super cool.
And those will all be the ones when we do the crowdfunding that you can claim your name on. We're going to have a little plaque made here for the back. So it could be Bob Smith's chair. So every time Mr. Bob, because he's not really a person, could sit in this chair and it would be his chair.
Yeah, kind of like a bench, in the park you see kind of deal. But this is, we've gone through the funds we've had set aside for the bar and the build out in painting the roof. The time has taken twice as long as we thought as well. But we're putting together an event to become a supporter, and it's not all dialed in, but we want you to know it's coming down the pipeline. We've got multiple tiers. An amazing customer of ours mentioned, hey, I really want to support. I want to give you guys what I can give you, but I can't give it to you all in one sum. I got to do a monthly payment. How can we split that up? How does it work?
You can film him.
Yeah.
Got it going, guys. That motor's going, so the furnace is going to be relighting right now.
All right.
So I'm going to be working on that, but take it back to those guys.
Furnaces are up. That's a great thing. It doesn't mean we can do the show because the glory hole takes an hour to come up, 45 minutes. And the furnaces are still going to take a minute, but that is great news.
Once he gets it lit, let's go over to the furnace and show him how cold
Dark it
the
looks.
glass is.
Yeah.
Yeah. First, we want to get them lit.
Yeah.
So, yes.
But so this program, we're going to have it. We have it partly on the website. It's not finalized yet, but there's going to be tiers to it. There's going to be a ton of. You get a product option or an experience option in deciding on what level you want to purchase and help us out with.
And we did that because we know you're not all local. Now, some of you might come in town. Some of you might want to support, and you're just like, hey, I'll put a little money on this or a ton of money on this, but I'm just going to do a product because I'm not local.
Yeah.
If you are local, you can come in. We're going to have tickets that we do for the big grand opening. We're lining up some sweet drinks. We're doing a project with Maker's Mark, which is whiskey. I don't even drink it. Okay.
Yep.
So we got some really cool things coming down the pipeline. But the reality is we are a small business. We set aside a pot of money to do this project, did a lot of the work ourselves, and now that pot of money is woo. So we can slowly plug along, which is what we're going to do. But we thought, hey, if we want to make it happen faster, there might be people who want to support us in that endeavor. And so that's why we're reaching out.
We know there is. People have reached out to us about it, and they want to help, and we appreciate that. I mean, this is the next evolution of the business for sure. We've changed a lot since COVID, and we're moving on to something not completely changing, but growing in a different way and going with what our dreams are here. And you guys have heard us talk about it and seen us building up for this for a long time.
Other chairs, maybe?
Let me just show this off one time. I don't know if they've seen it. This is the final rendering of what's going to be going down here. If you think about this angle, this is where we stream. That's where tech support is, our featured product table. That's the hole we work out of. So directly behind where you guys typically are watching the show is going to be the bar and a little 3-foot barrier. If you come in for a class, you'll get a wristband. You do your class, and as soon as you're done with your class, your instructor cuts your wristband off, and you're welcome to have a drink afterwards or relax. And we're not only talking alcoholic beverages. We want it to be fully inclusive. We're super excited about the idea to make mocktails and get really creative with local mixologists and artists and whatnot and make custom drinks, custom glassware for that. But we also want to do smoothies and coffee. I think about Katrina when I said that because she's got a million mugs. She's a mug collector, the mug collector, and I talked with her about it, and she said she drinks smoothies almost every day, I believe it is, and she rotates them out and grabs a new one. The color of her smoothie, you've seen Michelle talk about that, all matters, so it's going to be the perfect mixture, and to get everyone together, kicking it here at the shop, have open hours where people just come hang out. It's going to be a really beautiful thing. So Michelle's going to grab a chair because she's talking about the option of, for a certain price, I'm not sure which tier this is at, you get your name imprinted on here. We'll have another one where you get your name on the Michigan room up in here. Some people don't want recognition. That's totally fine, too. Some people will want the product, but we will have a pretty exclusive, high-end, really cool, soft opening for the lounge, and that will be an option for people to enter a ticket. Either at a certain level, you get a ticket. Before that, you get entered to win a ticket to this event, and that's going to be super, super cool for the grand opening. That'll be the soft opening, then we'll have a big ol' situation.
Someone's going to be in big trouble because I stepped on one of the chairs and there's a boot print on them.
I saw that one.
I
was
am
you?
not happy about that.
Who was that?
It was not me.
I
We're
know,
going to
I was
measure up
looking
the
like,
feet.
Who was that?
We're
Yeah.
going to find out because it's not pretty. We had all these
I know.
cleaned and washed.
I know. Look
Okay,
at how
you ready?
cool this looks.
Ready? Sharon was watching. Look.
Yeah.
She sold all the pockets, so you can't do the pockets. Pretty cool.
Can't tuck any paraphernalia in there, you guys.
Oh, wait, this one
Whoa.
did that one, but not this one. So these are the namings rights. We're going to tie a little tag on the chair, and you can walk around and you can pick out which one you think is cool.
Yeah.
If you're not local, you got to trust us. We know what we're doing. We'll pick you out a cool one. I think we're going to put little wheels on the bottom so you can just slide along the floor here. Whee!
And I think once we get that website established, maybe we do something for the experimental show, or maybe how are we going to announce it to the people when it's completely ready and ready to go?
Well, it's kind of ready now. It's live, 6:30.
It's kind of ready.
All right, read
Classic.
through it. If we're missing a detail, reach out to us. That's what happens half the time. You don't know you're missing a detail. You think everything's ready, and then you start it, and you're like, oh, what about this? So it's on there.
We've had a couple people mention your hat. If you could give us
Oh,
Yeah, the hat was just brought back from Pretentious Beer, this really cool company that Michelle and Chris went to visit, and it's the only other company we know of, the only other glass shop that has drinkware and has beer included. They're a brewery, and they have a small glass shop next to it. So they went to go meet the folks and talk to them and learn the place.
Let's go move over to the furnace chairs and have our fireside chat so they can see how much Chris is running around.
Let's do it.
We hear a couple bells and clicks and sound coming, and you're going to see Chris running back and forth, and Bess, you can maybe take that, can you put that plant on the floor for a second? It's a trick because you have to turn these mechanical panels and turn the glass on, turn the furnace on, but then you have to go behind the furnace and manually adjust some things. So lucky for us, Chris is here because he can do all that. It's not so easy. It's like, you know how your car, you have to kick the door shut or something, like Fonzie. Who remembers Fonzie? On Happy Days, he would hit the jukebox in the song. That's kind of like the furnace is. You have to be like, okay, buddy, kick, and then it just starts and lights up.
Yeah.
Okay, Sue says, oh my gosh, Sharon, those chairs are awesome. Haven't watched in a while. Everything's awesome. So fun seeing the plans, Sharon's hard work, everything that's coming up. Thank you, thank you. I have this envelope here. Jennifer, you called and asked, actually you didn't call, you sent us an email and said, hey, I did the Twisty contest. Where's my Twisty? Well, it came back to us. I went to the post office. The lady assured me the stamp was enough. Bess is laughing. I was not laughing when I went back, and they were like, that's not enough. What are you thinking? I'm like, I came here. You weighed them. You told me. So some of you got them. Some of you had to pay postage. Some of them started showing up back here. So Jennifer, we got you a new one in the mail, and I'm shipping those tomorrow. So stay tuned. They're coming. Apologize about that, but that was not my fault. I did all the right things. I went to the post office and I asked them, and they told me. Darn it all.
Yeah. Treachery.
Okay. This is the time to ask questions. I'm not kidding. If you've got them, this is the time. You have our undivided attention. Pretentious Glass, Jake's hat. I had heard so much about them. I was super excited to go see them. Ultra surprised when I went to see them how small their shop was, how skilled we are compared to what's on the marketplace. I mean, they didn't have any colored mugs. They didn't have any colored drinking glasses.
They're a great company. They're super cool. It was very interesting to hear about how they run and what their deal was. And get a different perspective. It's just like me moving to Pittsburgh, and it was great to see a different shop and learn a different perspective. And
They're in a college town. They had a brewery next door, brewed their own beers. We're going to have beers on tap here. We are not going to brew. Dearborn Brewery is going to do, they're going to name a glass or a beer after the Glass Academy, so don't know what those are yet. What else could I say about the trip? We went to a Kentucky horse farm and watched a cross-country horse race. Talk about not knowing anything.
yeah.
It's kind of nice to step out of town and be schooled on something you know nothing about. So that was kind of cool. Did you hear any of this stuff? It's craziness.
Yeah.
Okay, Becky Curtis asked, how many pieces do you make ahead of time for the Ren Fest?
A lot, Becky, a lot.
We have like 10 tubs right now.
Yeah, we've been making a lot of pieces, and at the same time, I mean, yeah, it's the pieces that don't necessarily fit into our energy here at the shop. Or sometimes they're exploration pieces, one and dones, different pieces, but we know we need a ton of pumpkins, a lot of drinkware. We've done a lot already and started putting in the back, and that's part of the cyclicalness of running the business. Michelle and I were just talking about it today. I had a Zoom call with the bookkeeper that we have, and lining up some green and red charts and to talk to the rest of the staff about how we're doing and what the plan is. And basically up until now, we're making product and we're not selling product, but we're making product, getting prepped, and then we'll sell product the second half of the year. So at the same time, doing the roof and doing all this extra stuff and not really having any events or anything going down, it's a little bit stressful, but that's part of it. I mean, that's part of each year, knowing that's coming and figuring it out and getting through it and enjoying it. And
Yeah, Jake's getting schooled a little bit of business. He looked at the QuickBooks today and he's like, is this number right? And I was like, kind of. Like Black Friday is Black Friday for a reason, because most businesses run kind of lean until that holiday season. So right now it's a gamble. Renaissance, we're like, hey, let's make all these products. We think they'll sell. Will they sell? Who knows? It's a gamble. But we know our clientele pretty well. Do you want to run and grab the mug horn stand?
could.
So while he's grabbing that stand, we got a book at the Glass Conference. It's drinking beverages from around the world. And they have a glass blower that they hired, and they do step-by-step photos in there. And they had a different idea for the horns that we've never seen. One of the things we do with our horns is we punny them up, and then we open, add a handle, and do all this stuff. There's a new technique that we're going to try out that will make our horns look very different.
This is a suggestion from Linda Brodka. Let me put it right here. Awesome suggestion. She said, hey, I hope I'm not pestering you, but maybe you guys would like this kind of thing. I was like, Linda, you better just chill out. You're never pestering us. But those are super awesome. We got 2 different styles of stands for making horns at the Ren Fair. It's super cool.
And people would love that because they wear them,
yeah,
but now this
send
is a way
somewhere.
to display it.
Yeah.
I'm looking at Chris, the look on his face. I see red buttons still on the thing.
That furnace takes a long time to fire up. You just got to keep trying it, tinkering with it, and it's pretty, it's a hassle. This one sounds like Recycle's already up and running, which is good, but we don't even have any glass in there, so.
That one, yeah, no big deal. No pot cracking.
Necessary.
Did you ever hear the story of when we were in the studio in Southwest Detroit? So I worked at the Henry Ford Museum, and I had changed out pots. I knew how to do this just because that's when the pot cracks, the glass leaks out, and you have to clean it up. So we were in a small rented space. It was a steel manufacturing, so it's oil all on the floor, no door, no exit. Running water was, I don't know, 800 feet away up in the front office. The furnace pot cracked. There's a small plate in the front that you pull off, steel plate, and then the molten glass drips out that hole, which is great if you're prepared. Put down a steel plate. This was in the early days of our studio. Chris is like, it'll be fine. I'm like, I'm telling you, when that glass comes out, it's going to be crazy ass. He's like, no, it'll be fine. Had a piece of steel, cracked it open, out comes the flowing glass like a waterfall. Flows all over. There's steam. There's oil starting to burn. We're running up front with buckets of water. throwing it on there. Well, then it's so hot it just makes steam. We're in a small space. It's full of like
Burning.
steam. It was awful. It
Yeah.
was awful.
That's like being next to a lava, like,
Yeah.
like a volcano.
Yeah, if you
It's
threw water on that, it'd be
treachery.
like, yeah. So we don't do that anymore. We learned our lesson.
Tables
Um,
live.
Okay, tables live.
Tables live at 6:30. I was going to be making a bonsai tonight. He was going to be making a giant compote like one of those. So you guys won't see that process until probably a couple shows from now. We'll go ahead and re-queue it up and do it. But check out those pieces. I think the majority of them, we didn't even talk about whether it's Chris Nordine Studios or not, but we will do the giveaway here in a minute for you guys. And to answer a couple different questions.
There were some good ones. The Pyrex one.
Super good. Becky was just saying we'll have to make a return trip and bring the music with us. Super excited, like I was saying, about the community aspect. Once we have the bar in here, we already have great events. It's BYOB, that's totally fine, but we have this whole space with a polished floor and chairs and tables to lay out food and host an event. We're going to be able to have you guys come down, and maybe it's like an Addicts thing. You know, Becky says, hey, we're going to be in town this weekend, and we're like, all right then, Friday night, you guys play some live music over right in the Michigan room right there. And we open it up to the public and everyone comes through and all the addicts know about it. And you guys come through and come visit. That's going to be a super cool thing. So that's a great idea, Becky, for sure. Vicky's asking about the difference between Pyrex and the glass we use. Do you have the answer to that?
Pyrex can go from heat to cold, so it's got a different way that it's manufactured. We're soft glass, so
It's not like borosilicate glass. I assume it's a different
it's kind of like that, but
composition.
yeah, just don't know. Like commercial glass, the best way I can describe it is this. Like if you think of a car crash, the windshield smashes into a bunch of little pieces. That's because there's a thin plastic layer in between it. It breaks up so it doesn't cut you. If you throw a baseball through a window, it's got really sharp edges. That glass is not tempered, and so it's got different properties. Pyrex is kind of like that. It's got properties to take from oven to coldness. The reason it was invented was so we could go on outer space. Outer space is cold. The astronauts inside need to be warm. It needs to be able to handle those extreme temperatures. So don't know the recipe. The project we've got coming up with Maker's Mark, they're asking us to take commercial bottles and blow them like we normally do. Commercial glass is completely different. We're going to give it a go. We're going to try it, but I'm not sure what will happen.
Yeah, we're going to see, and that'll be Arts, Beats, and Eats in Royal Oak. That's Labor Day weekend. We're going to be spread pretty thin between the Ren Fair classes here and Royal Oak, so it's going to be a really fun weekend. If any of you guys are around for that,
We need
that's a
some
good weekend
volunteer
to come
help.
kick it. Dave's asking, who was your biggest influence while learning glassblowing, and how did that change things for you?
I think my biggest influence was two people. Number one was Lino going to Haystack. He hardly spoke any English.
Who's he?
Lino Tagliatra, I can't say his name right. He was an Italian master who came over and taught at these American schools. And him coming over, most of the class was males. And I was working at the Henry Ford, so I already knew how to blow glass, how to gather consistently, how to do all these different things. Most of the men in the class did not, so Lino didn't know what to do with me because women didn't blow glass. So Chris was in the class, we were dating at the time, and he really liked Chris, so it was easier for him to handle me. Not handle me like I was a handful, but just like to relate to, like, women in Italy just don't blow glass. They didn't when I learned. And then the second person was Stephen D. Edwards, who was one of my teachers when I went to Alfred, and just like opened my world to, because I came from historic glass blowing. Here's a piece in history, replicate this piece that was made. And he came to the table with an amazing group of teacher's assistants who went to the college he was teaching at. And once I worked with him, Ian Lewis and Brian Pike, they were the TAs at the time, became good friends, and then I transferred to Alfred. So that's how my journey started at Alfred. And I wanted to tell you, Jen Ellick's coming next week. She's from Alfred, was there when I was there, and she's going to be demonstrating at the Henry Ford.
Sweet.
Yeah, so you don't want to miss her. She's like incredible.
Awesome.
Really cool.
That's super cool. Joey said mics are sounding good, which is awesome.
Thanks, Joey. We need that.
John's asking, I just thought about this. When you do a mobile event, does the furnace use a different crucible, or is it a sacrifice one? That's a good question, because as we're talking about with the furnaces cooling down here, when the glass expands and contracts from heating and cooling, it will crack the crucible. This crucible that we have inside this specific brand of mobile unit that we have is an invested crucible. So that means that all the fireproof material and castable, you lay the crucible in there and you cast everything around it, so it's all set in one solid mass that heats up together with the flames. So even if that crucible did crack, the glass has nowhere to go. It's not going to run out the bottom. It's going to sit right up against the next piece of material, and there's a lot of safety in there. So that's what we can use for that, and we dig it out every time we finish it. There's only about an inch or two. It's a smaller pot. And with these Maker's Mark bottles, we're going to try and get 5 or 6 of them here before the event, melt them down on the small annealing oven we have here, and see if they melt, because then if we can crush them up and throw them into that small furnace and just have a little 100-pounder pot of Maker's bottles, glasses, that would be pretty cool.
Yeah, and so a couple things. We bought the mobile unit in 2019 because we wanted to, in 2020, we really wanted to take it on the road, be able to go to breweries and different places and do this. Well, that never happened. So now we're like blowing the dust off and getting it out there again. We took it to the Pumpkin Show last year, which was fantastic. And the Maker's Mark, I'm a little concerned because the glass will be very different. So it's one thing to be on stage talking to a crowd of people, another to be kind of talking about what you're doing, but to be working with glass outdoors in the elements, the sun shining, the wind blowing, and it's a different texture of glass. It's still molten, but it moves totally different. So it's going to be interesting. Will our demos be successful? Will, you know, and the color, everything we're going to make is have to be clear, because the color will not work on the commercial glass.
Won't be compatible.
Yeah.
Another one, here's one from Melissa. Have you ever been to other states to blow glass?
Yeah, so I went to school in New York. I've been to Maine, Seattle, North Carolina, and Florida. And you've been Pittsburgh?
I've been Pittsburgh
New
and
York?
Alfred and New York. And I just was in England, you know. I went to a couple different shops in London. Wasn't able to blow glass to them. The gas prices, I was mentioning this a few shows back, the gas prices over there twice as much as they are here, and ours are even have gone up a bunch too. So they were, as soon as I got there and we started talking, they ended the day, cut off the hole, and that was it. We weren't messing around. But that was cool to see too. And they've been to Florida. Remember we did a show back in the day in Florida, cool collaboration show. The glass community is just so small. It's like, I mean, if they would have reached out to Pretentious Beer Company probably 2 weeks beforehand and said, hey, we're coming down, we want to blow glass with you guys, let's have an event, it probably would have happened. Because it's just all tight-knit and it's cool, it's good people. So we definitely travel and blow a lot of glass.
How many people have heard of Simon Pierce? They were in a movie, and I can't think of the movie right now.
It was like a horror one, wasn't it? Where the chandelier fell and killed the guy?
No.
What?
It was just like more like a love story. But Simon Pierce is in Vermont, and so we're going to be going to Vermont in about 2-3 weeks, and we're going to check them out. They only do clear glass. He does a water wheel. He's hooked up to a water source, and that's his electricity.
So cool.
And so we're going to check that out. That's in Vermont, outside of Burlington.
Yeah, and it just makes me think about the amazing neon sign we want to have out here after we get the bar situated. And if we could put solar panels on this building, folks, and save all that electricity, how cool would that be? Just like a water mill.
I know.
And remember I was talking about for a while, I did research on the fryer oil burner. And we FaceTime with those guys and everything to have on all our glory holes and use old fryer oil from the Dunkin' Donuts down the street. That one still needs a little bit of work to get it finagled. It was way too loud of a system, but maybe in a few years when that comes around, that'll be a really cool, environmentally friendly option. And
we know someone, I'm forgetting her name right now, in Ohio who did on a landfill the methane gas that comes out. They're allowed to do that. So that's kind of fun. Chris is still working it.
I don't know where Janine's talking about, but that's where they were married and had their reception. Janine, what's happening?
At Simon Pierce?
Drew's probably watching too. Maybe at Simon Pierce, yeah.
Wow. All right.
I think that's right. I do remember hearing that. Those are, that's Janine Hine, the owner, with Drew Hine of Pittsburgh Glass Studio. I was at Vessel Studio, and man, it was Drew just had a birthday. I talked to him, but
Happy birthday!
nice to talk to you guys. Nice to see you guys out here. We just had some treachery with the furnaces, and
We're still having treachery. Chris is still
Chris
like
has
working
been
it.
trying to light it up for the past hour while we're handling this.
And then I don't know if you guys can hear it. The air compressor comes on every time it comes. Dust jumps. It's like it's a sound you don't recognize, and it's like ah.
I guess we didn't really give the big reveal, but Vicky's asking, is the official name of the lounge the Michigan Room? And what I could say is that we decided, well, first of all, the Michigan Room's the private event space that's just past the bar that we'll have tables at and chairs, and people can rent it for whatever event, and that's their private spot. The lounge will be for the general public, and it's going to be called the Glass Academy Lounge. We have so many names and so many things going on that we want to use our traditional GA branding and add the lounge to it. It'll have cursive writing. We're working on the logo. There's going to be couches in there. It's going to be relaxing, smoothies, coffee, whatnot, and drinks.
So when you're done with your class or before your class, oh, why don't you relax in the lounge and enjoy yourself until your class starts? It should be very fun. Photo ops. We're going to have some fun little photo stages. Yeah.
This is a really cool comment from Dave here, and we also just had a really cool video sent in about Rupert's drops from a customer of ours. So we can maybe post that video at some point, because they did a really cool in-depth video with a few million views on YouTube about the Rupert's drop, and it worked at another glass shop in like Arizona or something. But Dave just asked, is there any good implementation or any like good documentation of colors and color reactions and how well they work, and if there's some sort of like book for that? Maybe you guys know Dave's he's a beginner glass blower, came here for a class. We spent some time together, and there's really not, as far as I could tell, there's 3 major glass producers. There's Gaffer, which I don't believe is doing anything anymore. There's Reichenbach, and there's Kugler.
For color.
For color, that make color. I think most of them are in Germany. All 3 of them are. And they all have different mixtures. They have very similar numbers, very similar colors. Some special ones here, some special ones there. Different compatibility here, different compatibility there. This red may work with white, and this white may not work with this red. They have reactions, and we've talked about on the show before where sometimes it's not, they never blend. They can overlap and you can see them, but sometimes you'll put a larger chunk on top of a flatter chunk of color, and it'll shrink the color and make it texturous on the surface. So it doesn't want to even be next to that color. But sometimes it'll spread it out and it'll completely change the color to something you didn't even know was going to go on. Sometimes, a lot of times with white, it'll turn an enamel finish. If you put it on top of another color spots, or you just layer it one time, it'll have a completely flat matte finish. And even some of the whites, if you rub your thumb into it or whatever you got that's a dirty hand, it will stay dirty, and it picks up, it's totally texturous and picks up, not like glass normally would, a texture on there or dirt. So there's so much going on. It's a great question, Dave, because maybe we could do something like that for the glass blowers out there and make a cool little like short book on what we found. But I know that every single batch, and they're always changing their colors. I just was looking with Michelle. Is that book still over there? Did you put it in the safe?
No, the book's at home. Which one?
The safe, the one with all the color samples?
It's in the safe.
Yeah, I was like, Mom, I don't need this sitting on my desk. I got to get this out of here. I don't like things just sitting around. And she was like, well, we're going to save it because it's cool. And it was cool. It was a Kugler book of all the color samples when it wasn't all online. So they had little dishes of all of them.
It was awful.
They were all the same numbers, but you can tell some of the colors are different, and the mixtures and the way they create them have changed over 100 years or however long the business has been around. So to make a book, it might get outdated sooner rather than later, and I don't know if it would necessarily be worth the time. It is kind of just a trade secret for the glass community.
It was pretty cool going to the conference to see the color companies and how they made their samples and all of that. That was pretty awesome. But Jake doesn't know, I just posted the Rupert's drop. When we're done with the show, I'd highly suggest watching it. I think it was maybe 15 minutes long or something.
A half hour.
Oh, half hour. The guy's an engineer, and so he's like asking these questions, and then he goes to a glass shop and they do these Rupert drops. I will say a few things. One is, when we did the Rupert's drop in color, it had a higher tension, and they don't talk about that at all in the video, which I thought was interesting.
It was interesting.
And the other part of it, he does this great graph that he's like, here's glass as a solid, here's it soft, and here's
my
how
God.
it moves through. And I found it incredible because he's like, wow, like the glass blowers are intuitive. They just like know this stuff from doing it.
We're not engineers.
Yeah, they don't think like engineers. And I will say a lot of our friends are engineers or doctors, and they come and they're just mesmerized by stuff. And listening to that guy talk, now I can kind of understand, because the engineer brain is a little more like a scientist, like, these are the facts. Where an artist is more like, hey, okay. I notice when the wind is blowing through here and I'm using a red, it's stiffer in the winter than it is in the summer.
Right.
How do you put that in a book? You don't. That's why glass blowing, it's learned by doing, and really to work your way up in a glass shop is the best way to learn, because you learn those things.
And torch work. I've told the guys that doing torch work has helped him so much, and Matt agrees, and he knows that. He's working with the torch at home, working with little bits of glass and just learning how it moves.
Yeah.
There's this point in glass where the glass like releases its heat. And if you're blowing out a bubble, you can blow out a bubble, you're starting up a mug, and then you give it like 20% too much puff at the right heat, and it goes exactly, he made this graph, and this is called the rubbery plateau, where
Yeah,
most
that was
glass
wild.
blowers work their glass. This is where it's cold, it comes down, it becomes more liquid, then it comes down and drops off and becomes like water. And that, when you puff into the air and expand it a little bit more, and the glass is at the perfect temperature right on the edge of that plateau, you can literally just puff into it and you feel it drop off. It just gets super soft, and all of a sudden you can't control it. So you're always right working on the tail edge of that plateau and then bringing it down when you're done working on a piece.
You know, and that would be a really cool video for kids in college or that are learning glass
So
to get
helpful.
it. Because in college, you're just like, your instructor's like, there's the
do
equipment,
it.
here's kind of how you do it, go. And
Yeah.
you're like, I don't know what I'm doing.
Couple comments to Sue. I saw
Yes.
on the Addicts page, the Glass Academy Addicts Facebook page, the pictures of your guys' wedding, and Taryn, congratulations.
Oh, yeah,
that
those
looked
cups were
super
beautiful.
cool. The cups looked amazing. They just matched the theme of what was going on. So thank you for posting the pictures. It's always super cool to see those follow-up shots. We always ask for them, and that's kind of what the Glass Academy Addicts page is all about. So appreciate you for that, and I'm glad that everything turned out great. Looked like a beautiful wedding. She also is asking here if we'll sell the horn holders.
Yeah.
For those of us that already have the horns. Yeah, we'll get them on the website here soon. I kind of just put it on the display, and we'll figure it out when Ren Fair comes around. But if you're really interested and need one sooner rather than later, we can expedite it, and we'll figure it out for you, because we appreciate you guys. But that's pretty good. I apologize for my hangriness at the beginning of the show. I've kind of settled into a little bit.
He's
but
got a giant salad over there. Usually we sit down, like
all
you said,
this
we
stuff,
eat.
we were supposed to sit down at 5 and get together and sit down and talk about the show and have everything planned and do things with intention and make everything really nice. And then stuff hit the fan
Chaos.
and everyone was gone and everything was just like going crazy, and it was a little ridiculous. So I'm still pretty hangry, and I usually can't handle it. I had one of those situations earlier this week too, a hangry situation that was no good. But
So you got a nice big
we're
fat
here.
salad
I'm
over
going
there
to
to
eat that
eat when you're
salad in a
done.
minute here. We have gone almost an hour here, and just so you know, Chris is still trying to set up the furnace. Oh,
Yeah. Well, he's
I
got it
just
lit
heard
a
it.
couple times. What'd you do to get it
yeah,
lit?
baby.
Oh, because there's a fire eye in there.
Let's go.
It's cold. I mean, it's cold.
Yeah.
We've had people come in that are metal people, like they pour iron or something, they'll look at our furnaces and they'll know the temperature. Oh, that's this temperature. Or ceramicists, like those cones that fall over at certain temperatures, because you can tell by the color of the furnace.
I don't know if you guys can hear that roar. That's like dragons back there just like puffing its nostrils, but it totally is going right now, and that's great news. And you guys maybe give a little love to Chris in the chat here for sticking it out and handling business back there, because it's frustrating when you don't know what the issue is. And we were working on the blower. We tried every angle. We reset the fuses up there. He pulled it apart, was doing all kinds of electrical action to it, and still we were just like shaking our heads like we don't even know what the matter is.
And then he was back there with the pipe wrench, banging on everything. Like I said, sometimes you got to just hit it. The funny thing is, like, we learned how to build the equipment. It's not funny, it's true. When we were glass blowers, we built our own shop. There was no shops you could buy. Now you can just go in, and companies, because there's people that were our age that started companies, you can go in and buy a shop. And they'll give you a manual, and they'll tell you everything that's wrong. And if you can't figure it out, just like a car, you call the mechanic, and you FaceTime it, and you walk it through, and they hold your hand and relight it.
Chris, they said they can hear the roar, and they're thanking you, and they said it's awesome. They heard that dragon go.
They heard it?
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
All right. Glad I could get it done. You know what it did make me notice squatting down like 30 times underneath the furnace was that it needs to be swept out under
I
there.
saw that.
And I took the broom back here. I had like 30 seconds in between every time, so I'm like sweeping up. We're good, guys. We're on.
We're good. So maybe we could go over the table and I can actually show off some of those pieces of these
Yes,
guys.
please. I would
And
love
then
that.
we'll talk about next steps and what the deal is.
Yep, we'll spin the wheel.
Spin the wheel. Come on over, folks. We got some beauties over here. I'm going to go through each one. This will be the giveaway. This is what we're giving away to somebody here in a few minutes. We'll spin the wheel. Someone's going to get this sweet sipper that was from the production line of products made on last week's show. Maybe that had to be last week's show. So that's super tight. But coming over here, and I don't necessarily want to hold them all up. These are individually listed and priced, but they're kind of sold as sets as well. This is a beautiful comp here with an actual pair in the center of it. Now, Chris has a lot, and Michelle have a lot of these pieces stored. Look at that one, 2010. It's got the original Detroit Design Studio, Furnace Design Studio, Detroit, Michigan sticker on there. That's... He said he made 16 originally, and these are the final 3 that are hand-signed from that production run. So that's super cool, and that's kind of, I mean, these are historical pieces for Chris here. He's made a few ones since opening up the gallery. I've made a few pieces to put in there, but we also have rotating artists. So it's just pretty tight historical pieces, and these are the higher-end pieces that we want to be representing in a higher-end gallery. Higher-end not meaning better or worse in any way, but a different style of technique, a different level of technique, a different level of action. Number 3 is beautiful. This guy's got a little bit of putty to hold this compote top on here, but look at the finial on top here and how delicate and tender and delicious that thing is. A little iridescent amber. Super clean. You could put anything you want in here. Bess and I almost knocked it off of the table when we were moving the table before the show and the hecticness. This is the beautiful guy to match that set right there, pair in the middle. Look at all the Evolios, how perfect they are. When you go into a shop and you make 16 in a row, that's how they turn out. We're doing one-offs, and they're beautiful, and we pride ourselves on making sweet, custom, one-of-a-kind pieces and having the ability to pull that out in the moment and actually do it. When you really, I mean, if we go into making a product line like we've done with the slugs and the snails and every other thing we've totally lined up, it becomes a completely different style of piece because you're putting that extra effort and rhythm into making it. Number 4 here, these are a beautiful set. Look at that action right there. Again, look at the Evolio. I mean, how pristine is that? The width of it, the symmetry, the flatness here, and then the smoothness of that arch. It's just super delicious. So that one's gorgeous. Then we go into my region over here, and this is, you guys have seen me, I think you saw on the show me make my very first bonsai, which is actually up for sale now, because I've made a few more and I'm willing to part with it. But you've got the rocks, the glass rocks on the inside. You got the sweet bowl, the low squatty bowl with the low foot. This guy's signed. This is the first bonsai. Number 1 right there. It's number 7 on the website, but that's first of many to come. Number 5 is another really cool one. I started experimenting with the texture in here, the barkedness. And look at how gnarly and crazy that is. Different color green on the leaves here as well. Different color base here. Number 5, love that one too. That one's been in the gallery for a little bit. And then this is the big honker that we put some of these babies in here. I forget what they're called. Little like peat moss or something, or no, that's moss. I don't know what they're called. Rocks. Yeah, you're right, Bess. But this one's got a lot of action going on in the body. I'm kind of indifferent, but I think the other side is the front side, which is how I had it displayed in the gallery. I just made another one the other day, which I think I'd shown off on the show that I was going to put moss down on. I was going to make another one today. It'll be the 6th or 7th one I've made, and I finally feel like I have the plan established. Each one's got their own characteristic, and you see the growth between each piece. That's the beauty of a product line. You see the change, and there's nothing better or worse about the front or the end. They've all have their own experimental process and a story to tell with them. I really love the rocks in this. I think this is, the only last thing to figure out is if the moss is going to look nice in there. I got to make the bowl squattier, and I got to have the tree sitting up a little higher so that the moss doesn't take over all the rooty branch action down there. But we're going to see what happens. That'll be maybe, I think, on the 18th or the 20, whatever that plus 7 is. And that when we do this show, and it'll be great. So, yeah, let's do the wheel of names here, Michelle.
Yes. Melissa knows someone in Connecticut. Guys, here's the deal.
What's the deal?
Say that again. Melissa knows someone in Connecticut. And here's what I would say about other glass shops. Let them know about us first. Hey, I know this glass shop. They'll come visit you this, that, or the other. Because when we show up unannounced, sometimes glass blowers can get weird about things. They're like competitive, or because you steal with your eyes, so maybe they think we're like looking at their secrets. I surely don't want you to think I was not saying anything about pretentious glass. My interest in them was like what type of drinkware they made and what sold well for them. And it surprised me that we do such colorful things, but they did really clear because they worked with a brewery. And if you're drinking beer, you want to see the color of your beer. So that was a big thing. My intent in going there was really to see, do we want to do clear vessels like this? Is this our clientele? I don't know the answers. So that's why we were checking that out. But to wander into another glass shop, sometimes it's good, sometimes it's not. Some people can be very guarded. I don't know why. It's just the nature of the industry.
Yeah.
You know, they're like...
Everyone's got their own style,
yeah.
And you're like, what are you looking at? I got this figured out. I've felt that way before. I mean, when we started the show, you guys have heard us, like, we've turned the camera away and been like, nope, we're
Trade
not
secret.
Looking at that sweet move we're about to do. Sorry, that's our
signature
business.
move. I mean, because we had an employee here that we trained, did amazing work, trained from the ground up, just very talented person. Then we found out she was making all of our stuff and selling it at a local fair that we don't go to. That was like a weekend fair. We walked in, it was all our product. And it was just like, what are you doing? She's like, I'm just making stuff. And it's like, you can't make the stuff that you make for us during the week and sell it. You can't do that. And so we let her go, and then she went to another glass shop and did the same thing. So there's kind of like unspoken rules. Like when you guys ask us, hey, can you make this? Yada, yada, yada. Yes, we can. Do we want to? That's a whole nother thing. I never want to make someone else's work unless I'm testing it or think it's a cool technique. Like the Rupert's drop, everyone does Rupert's drops. Pulled flowers, that's like a traditional hands-on class. One of the reasons why we don't do them anymore, because you can do those anywhere. Yeah.
Yeah, so a lot of love for this, and there's still plenty of people watching live here, and we'll see how the numbers are after the fact too, but let us know what you guys think about just a talking show like this. I've got it on the brainstorming list for our Gathering Point shows to potentially do a VIP show where we just sit down and you guys submit, all the VIPs submit their questions, and we just sit there and kick it for an hour
and hit them all
and talk about some real things, which is cool because we don't always have a good time or enough time talking when we're blowing glass. I mean, it's pretty crazy already what we do vocally while we're blowing glass, just because we're used to the Ren Fair and we're used to being in front of people. But it's a fun opportunity if we get questions and know what you guys want to hear.
And I have to give a shout out to Bess because she's moving the camera around and doing things, but basically, she doesn't get to talk. She's looking at us like, okay. And let's see, Carrie said if she won the lottery was like $428 million. Like, what do you do with $428 million? That's insane, right? You build a glass shop.
Yeah.
We always ask each other, sure, you pay off your house, you buy cars, you do all those things. But then there was an exercise I did where you had to spend $1,000 a day. Well, 30 days into that, 60 days into it, you're kind of like, okay, I have $1,000. What do I do? And I really love that exercise because it starts to expand your mind. Like, oh, I would give to a charity. Which charity? Then you start researching charities, and it's just a really cool mindset.
What would you guys do with $10 million?
Right?
Let's hear it.
Let's hear it. Put it in the chat.
So it's looking really good, folks. Let's do the giveaway.
Let's answer that one.
Have you ever made items that you combine with stained glass?
I haven't. We had a stained glass artist here. Sometimes we've done parts, so it makes the stained glass three-dimensional. I did a stained glass project while in college. Hated it. No movement to the glass, no like love. Just wasn't my thing. And I was raised Catholic, and I'd always see like the stained glass in churches and stuff. While I like the color properties, I had no interest in ever doing that as a medium. So
I don't have an answer for that question. Well, the answer for me personally is no. But I do want to say that Becky was saying the last experimental show was super exceptional, both because of the voiceover and the filming. We're switching that up since we don't have Heather around anymore, and I think they did a great job, both Michelle and Becky, our photographer, and myself just assisting there. It was a really good-looking show, and the voiceover was awesome. But also in Michelle doing, like we talked about on the show, in doing that piece, we thought that that could be the first one of the collectible sets of the bar. And if we do twice a year,
probably
we
purples.
do a brand new line like I was talking about with the decanters, where we spend, you guys saw how long that video was, and we chopped out a lot of it.
Oh my gosh.
To make 2 glasses. That's not really profitable.
Well, the next glass will be on this Sunday show. They don't know this yet.
Okay, so there were 2 glasses made out of that color pattern. You'll see the next one coming up here. But if we do a bunch of them in a row, say we do 35, 40 of those glasses, one specific ultra in-depth design, and we hand sign them all, collectible 2023 glass of the Glass Academy Lounge, #1, whatever we say, that's going to be a really cool addition to the bar, and an ability for someone to start a collection that's designed to be collected from the Glass Academy. It's going to be sweet, and I think that was an awesome piece.
The interesting thing about the experimental show is you have this idea, and then it's like there's so many moving parts to get it ready. You know, if we were working production, that's why I'm happy we did it on that Tuesday show. It would go a lot faster, but just doing 1 cup, it took us 2 hours to make the pattern just for that 1 cup. The second cup will be this Sunday. We've got a new editor. We're working the gimbal and back to the phone, and I'm taking a course on YouTube that's like helping us move through algorithms and teaching us things. So we got some really nice stuff in the mix coming up.
We're trying to work the system, but we always say it, the more you guys share it with the people you know, that's way better than any algorithmic situation. Natural views are big time.
Yeah, I'm supposed to say like, share, and like, and the voiceovers are kind of good. I will get better as time goes on and have a better sound system. Jake's like, were you outside? Like, where were you? I heard stuff. So we'll get better with that.
We're growing every day.
But the thing that I watched that Rupert's drop for sure. The thing that I liked is the guy's able to talk a lot more about it. And when you're watching it, you're more concentrated on what's happening and giving facts and figures and techniques than when you're in the moment. In the moment, you're like, oh my God, I just made a mess on the floor.
Yeah.
But when you're doing voiceover, you can be way more engaged.
One last thing before we do the giveaway. Did we mention already that Bess is going to be handling the VIPs?
We did, but why don't you explain it?
Cool. We're doing our best to give you guys the love you deserve. These are the VIPs, the people that spend $4.99 a month. Maybe I'll never be satisfied, but like, I think we can always improve, and we're going to spend a little more time on you guys. Bess is going to be your, what do you call it?
Bess has come on. So Bess has a full-time job. She went to school for social media, was in a career that was starting to tank, so she jumped ship to a new job, and we love her because she's amazing at social media. She's taught me
Hustler.
things I didn't even know. And so Bess is going to
give a wave to the camera.
Beth is going to help
Beautiful.
us like dial in on those things. A simple example, on TikTok, there was no spaces between the hashtags. It tanked. It got like 19 views. Normally it would get like 3, 4, 500 views. So we're really working on like raising the bar, and we like that because you guys are going to be able to say, oh, I knew them when.
I got the 3 words that were actually trundling around my brain all at
Uh-huh.
once from everybody in a row. The maitre d', the liaison, or the concierge. You're probably all those 3 things, Bess, for the VIPs.
That's what was in my head.
Yeah.
Okay.
But she's going to be making sure that videos come out on time. I've got 2 or 3 in the queue I've already taken. We just haven't been able to edit them and get them up to you guys. But that'll be awesome. And if you have questions, you can reach out through YouTube and comment right to our account. She'll be watching them, and we'll give you guys all the action you deserve because we appreciate you all.
Can I mention one thing about social media?
Mention
I have
it.
a mic. This is on, right? I mean, this works.
Is it on?
I have it
Yeah.
on.
Yeah, do it.
So, you guys can't see me, but hi, it's Bess. I just wanted to mention to you guys another big thing we're working on with social media right now is fine-tuning the type of content on each social channel so that you're not seeing the same thing everywhere. So I wanted to mention to you guys it's super important to follow us on Instagram, follow us on Facebook, follow us on TikTok. You could even follow the Batch Gallery Instagram because each one of those platforms is going to have unique content to it so that you're not seeing the same thing everywhere and you're getting all different kinds of stuff from each platform.
Which I really like too. And since Bess is working on that, and maybe you follow those other channels, tell your grandkids, tell your kids. Can't hurt. And people ask, like, how can I support you? That's how you can support us. Doesn't cost you a thing. We know you're watching social media because you're here. When we do our class evaluations, they're like, I don't do social, but it's like, how'd you find out about us? You know, so.
Yeah.
Okay, this is the giveaway, and I want to point out before we do it, the soft colors dip a little different than some of the stiffer colors. So this is, if you have a straw in your beverage, that'd be a really cool place for it to hang. But there's nothing wrong with it. This is just the way all those multiple colors kind of.
Yeah, we were talking about on the show. I mean, Joey passed that thing off to me. We had all kinds of crazy action going on, and it was a beautiful collaborative scenario situation. So, good luck to the winner. Let's spin that wheel and see what the deal is. We're back, folks. The wheel has been spun.
Jake's like, do you want to show it? And it's like, you took it. Okay, so the production tumbler, production is when we make multiple items at the same time. Marianne, who's?
Yeah. Hoiser?
I don't know. I'm not good with names.
Huser?
And she,
Marianne's a regular.
yes, every 6 months. Don't stop playing because you're not going to remember in 6 months to like kick it in again. And it's important that we read your answers. That's really essential for us to understand you as customers and to give you top quality products. So even if you won, still keep it in the mix because as soon as 6 months happens, maybe you'll win again.
Yeah.
Sunday, the e-news, I can't remember the question.
$25 gift card special?
Yep. This is a new name Donna said she did not recognize. So welcome to the party, Christine Lamb.
Christine Lamb. That's what I'm talking about.
And she just signed it Chris on the sheet that she filled in, but from her email, we gather her name is Christine Lamb.
Cool.
So welcome. And I think last week it was a person who's been watching us since the beginning from Toronto that had never seen us, if I'm remembering correctly.
A lot of congratulations. As much as we know not everyone wins every week, you guys are always super congratulatory to everybody, and I really appreciate that. It's super cool.
It looks like Jake's pacing the floor. He's ready for the show to end.
I'm pacing to my salad, and I've got to, I'll sit back down so I'm in the camera here. But the last thing I want to remind you guys is there's still a couple just visual edits we're going to do to make it more appealing to you guys on the page. We want to, I don't even know if we figured out the name, what we're going to call these people. We're not crowdfunding. It's a...
Well, crowdfunding is similar, but we're not using that platform, so they won't take a percentage. So our customers ask that it comes directly to us. Crowdfunding is when you get another audience to look in on who you are. You guys know us, and we feel this is really personal, and we want it to be about us and the people who help build us. So we're doing it through the website.
It's like supporting founders, donators, VIPs, patrons of the arts, the people that understand us as a business and small businesses and where we're going and what we stand for and what we want to be a part of in the future. These are the people that, whether you toss 10 bucks in the pot, $5 in the pot, you'll see all the tiers on the Gathering Point page. Buying products a great thing. Not even spending money and just spreading the word about us is an amazing thing, which we say all the time. But if you've got some extra money laying around, if you want to throw something our way to support what we're doing, like I was mentioning, we've got an option. You can choose to get a monthly amount. You pick the tier you want and you spread it out over 10 months. Whatever it may be, whatever's comfortable and acceptable for you guys, we appreciate every little bit. It's going to add up. It's huge. The community is amazing to us, and we hope that we're going to be able to support you guys a little bit more and have some amazing things going on.
And we're not, I think there's a lot of people sometimes that want to start a business, or like I was telling Jake, in my day and age, it was like, my parents were like, what? You're not leaving your solid job with healthcare and a solid pay to do what? So I think it's a big step to be an entrepreneur. I think it can be very difficult. We've proven that now. We've been here a number of years, especially during the pandemic. So many glass shops changed what they did. People retired. We were able to pull through it, and I think we pull through it because of people like you.
Couldn't have done it without you guys.
And yeah, I just think we're committed to offering services. This is a community place. We want you to all come here and hang out. It's certainly not about us. It's when we do the Renaissance and people are like, hey, make this or try this. That's what keeps us engaged. There's always a next level that we're going to, and it's super fun to have you all here.
It's tough getting through these first 6 months of the year, not only because of just the finances, but literally because the same amount of people aren't in the studio. You know, we have these live feeds, and that drives our desire to be around people as much as we can, but it's a really beautiful thing having you guys around. And we didn't start this because we are running low for the bar on funds, but we didn't start this because we were planning to make a bunch of extra money to make this happen. We literally had a few people say, we want to donate and we want to help you in this process, and how are you guys doing and how can we do it and what's the plan? And when people are reaching out to us saying that, then we know there's other people that are willing to help out and make this happen for us.
Yeah, like Sharon doing the chairs. It's like,
that's huge.
We come up with the idea. We don't have enough hours in the day to do everything we want to do. Painting the wall. Everyone chipped in to paint the wall. The wall looks amazing. There's so many creative and like fantastic things happening. So we want you all to be a part of them with us. Couldn't do it without you.
We appreciate you guys.
Okay, and on that note, I think we better let Jake eat.
Thanks for sticking with us. Bess, you got something to
I
say?
was just going to say we just got an Instagram follower.
We got an Instagram follower on the
we
ticker.
did. Chris knew the power was out when he came in, not only because it's quiet, but he said the Instagram and Facebook counters were at 0. Dun, 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 dun. So it's all good.
We made it through. I'm going to go move the high-low back and clean up the shop and eat some salad, and we're going to have a nice, relaxing evening. So thank you guys.
It's been a pleasure.
Have an amazing 4th of July. We'll talk to you guys next Tuesday. Watch the experimental show on Sunday.
There's some
I don't
cool
think
stuff.
there's going to be an Anila reveal on Thursday, but we are filming other shows on Thursday, so we're going to be doing something.
Oh, yeah. All right, yeah, stay tuned. Let's see what happens.
Something's happening.
Something.
Goodbye, everyone.